As if controlled, Emma stood up and went to the prince's room. "I am cold," she said, shaking. The prince held her in a warm embrace, hoping to keep her warm. But then Emma started moving her hands down his body. The prince was surprised at first because he had been told that Emma was a virgin and intended to keep it that way until their wedding night. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked. "Yes, my prince," Emma replied. Once upon a time, in a quaint town called Ife, there lived a young lady named Emma. She was the cherished daughter of Pastor John, the revered leader of the town's small church, and his devout wife, Mary. Emma was raised in a godly household, where virtues like purity and chastity were paramount. Pastor John, who married Mary while she was still a virgin, fervently hoped that Emma would follow the same path, preserving her purity until marriage. From a young age, Emma was taught the importance of living a chaste life and saving herself for her future husband. After completing her secondary education at the community college, Emma began an apprenticeship at a popular tailor shop to learn sewing skills. This was a way to keep her occupied while she awaited admission into the university. At the tailor shop, Emma met Lucy, a girl about her age. The two quickly became friends, walking home together every day, chatting and sharing their dreams. Unlike Emma, Lucy did not live with her parents. She resided in a small house that had belonged to her late grandmother. A few weeks after Emma started her training, her mother's friend, Chi, visited their home. She came with a warning about Lucy, claiming she was the daughter of a witch doctor named Motsi, rumored to have used dark powers to kill Lucy's mother. She advised Emma's mother to sever all ties with Lucy. When Emma returned home that day, her mother relayed Chill's warning and insisted that Emma end her friendship with Lucy. However, for the first time, Emma stood her ground. "No, Mom," she declared. "I don't care what you say about Lucy's father. Lucy is a good girl and an amazing friend. Nothing you say can make me end our friendship." Emma's defiance paid off, and she continued her close bond with Lucy. They quickly became best friends, sharing secrets and everything else. As one of the most well-behaved girls in Ife, Emma caught the eye of the young prince, Liam, who soon asked for her hand in marriage. Her parents were delighted and blessed the union. Meanwhile, Lucy had a boyfriend named Tom, who had promised to marry her. She often visited him on weekends, spending all her time with him. One afternoon, Lucy decided to surprise Tom with an unannounced visit, only to find him in bed with another girl. Though she had heard rumors about Tom's unfaithfulness, she had never believed them until that moment. In a fit of rage, Lucy threw the engagement ring he had given her a few weeks earlier to the ground and stormed out, heartbroken. Lucy returned to the tailor shop in tears, inconsolable. Emma did her best to comfort her, but Lucy's pain was too deep. On their walk home, Lucy recounted every detail of her betrayal to Emma, who felt genuine pity for her friend's ordeal. "Lucy, this is not the end of the world," Emma assured her. "You will find a man who truly loves and values you." Later that night, as Lucy sat on her bed, she replayed all the happy moments and promises Tom had made. She began to question her decision. Why should one incident of cheating ruin everything we had? She thought aloud. The next day, Emma was taken aback when Lucy revealed her plan to go back and beg Tom for forgiveness. Despite her reservations, Emma agreed to accompany her friend to Tom's house to apologize and retrieve the engagement ring she had thrown away in anger. Emma was vehemently against Lucy going back to the same man who had cheated on her without showing any signs of genuine remorse. But Lucy, utterly infatuated, refused to listen to Emma's voice of reason. Determined to win back Tom's affection, Lucy set her heart on the plan, despite his hurtful betrayal. The plan was simple. Emma would go in first to speak to Tom on Lucy's behalf. Once she convinced him to take Lucy back, Lucy would then join them. The two young women set off towards Tom's house to execute their plan. When they arrived, Emma went inside alone while Lucy waited under a tree beside the house as they had planned. Inside, Emma found Tom looking incredibly sad and depressed, sitting on a mat and drinking some fresh palm wine. Emma greeted him politely and mentioned she had come to talk about Lucy and the situation between them. Tom welcomed her warmly and motioned for her to join him on the mat. He briefly stood up and went into his small kitchen area. Unknown to Emma, Tom opened a small pouch and added a mysterious powder to a cup before pouring some palm wine into it. He returned and handed the cup to Emma, who thanked him and took a sip. That was the last thing Emma remembered. Emma woke up sometime later in a daze, lying on a bed with her clothes scattered everywhere. It didn't take long for the sickening realization to hit her. Tom had taken advantage of her and stripped her of her precious virginity. Just as Emma was trying to make sense of the horrifying situation, Lucy burst into the house after growing impatient from waiting outside. Lucy was utterly shocked at the sight of her best friend in such a compromising state on Tom's bed. Before Emma could explain, Lucy let out a piercing scream of anguish and betrayal. "You evil man, you forced yourself on her and took her virginity, all her pride and purity," Emma cried. Lucy's face contorted with rage. "You lying, deceitful snake. I knew you were untrustworthy, but I never imagined you would stoop this low. Our friendship is over, you disgraceful coward," she shouted. With that, Lucy stormed out of the house, leaving a traumatized Emma behind. Despite the false assumptions and misunderstandings, Emma couldn't bring herself to chase after Lucy to explain what had really happened. She felt ashamed, dirty, and utterly devastated over having her innocence stolen so cruelly. In the days that followed, Emma became a shadow of her former self, always looking sad and withdrawn. However, she couldn't bring herself to tell her parents that she had lost her virginity, the most precious thing they wanted her to keep until marriage. Emma wondered about the prince. Would he still want to marry her if this got out? So many thoughts ran through her mind. What about Lucy? Would she ever understand that Emma was also a victim? Would Lucy ever forgive her? Emma cried often, tormented by these thoughts. The next day, Emma decided to visit Lucy to explain what had really happened. As soon as Lucy saw Emma approaching, she quickly chased her away. "How dare you show your face here, you little harlot?" Lucy shouted, not wanting to hear what Emma had to say. After Emma left, Lucy continued thinking about the perfect way to deal with Emma. "I will visit my father, and you will become the harlot that you truly are," Lucy concluded. That evening, Lucy stood at the door of her father Mazzy's shrine, a place she hadn't visited in years. In tears, Lucy told her father how her best friend had betrayed her by taking away her future husband. "Father, I want you to make that harlot a public disgrace for all the men in the village," Lucy demanded. Motsi laughed. "Truly, a lion cannot give birth to a goat. Lucy, you are truly your father's daughter. Now, take this calabash and call her name into it 3 times, and your wish will be granted. In 3 days, she will become even worse than a harlot, running after all the men in the village," Motsi assured his daughter. After trying in vain to beg Lucy for forgiveness, Emma decided she could not live in shame forever. She had to continue her life, whether a virgin or not. 3 days later, the prince visited Emma and her parents. He expressed his desire to take Emma to the palace to meet his parents and spend some time with them before the wedding. Emma's parents agreed, thinking it was a brilliant idea. An excited Emma packed a few belongings and followed the prince to the palace to meet his parents, the king and queen. Upon arriving at the palace, Prince Liam introduced Emma to his parents, who were delighted to meet her and impressed with their son's choice of a wife. "Oh, the pastor's daughter," the king said excitedly. After dinner, they all said good night, and Emma was shown into a beautiful room where she would stay during her time at the palace. Towards midnight, as the rain began to fall, Emma woke up from her sleep feeling as if something had dropped on her body. She started having a strange itchy feeling and heard a voice in her head saying, "You need to go to his room and let him sleep with you." As if controlled, Emma stood up and went to the prince's room. "I am cold," she said, shaking. The prince held her in a warm embrace, hoping to keep her warm, but then Emma started moving her hands down his body. The prince was surprised at first because he had been told that Emma was a virgin and intended to keep it that way until their wedding night. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked. "Yes, my prince," Emma replied. And so he slept with her. However, it didn't end there. Emma kept asking for more and more until daybreak. The prince was exhausted and frustrated, but Emma was still ready to go on. "What manner of a lady is this?" the prince asked. The frustrated prince took Emma out of the palace without saying a word to the king and queen. He took her straight back to her father's house and told them that the wedding was off. When her parents asked Emma what went wrong at the palace, she lied, saying the prince was angry because she refused to let him touch her. "You have done well, my daughter. Do not compromise your purity for anyone, prince or not," Pastor John said and hugged his daughter proudly. The next day, on her way to the tailor shop, the strange itchy feeling and the strange voice in her head started again. "Emma, you need a man now," it thundered. Just then, she saw someone coming from the other side of the road. It was Ken, a young man who had asked her out months ago, but she had turned him down. Ken was surprised to see Emma smiling at him, unlike her usual demeanor. Before he knew what was happening, Emma had hugged him tightly. Ken quickly seized the opportunity and took Emma to a nearby bush, succumbing to her desperate demands. However, Emma was not satisfied and continued to demand more. Ken, overwhelmed and frightened, ran for his life. Emma's uncontrollable urges drove her to move from one man to another, pleading with them to sleep with her, but none could satisfy her insatiable desire. Rumors began to spread rapidly throughout the village about Emma, the girl who no man could satisfy. When the gossip reached John, he refused to believe such slander about his daughter. "These are unbelievable lies. My daughter is a good girl," he would say, firmly denying the rumors. Emma knew she needed help, but she felt trapped. Confessing her actions to her parents would break their hearts. She clung to the hope that one day, the torment would end. One fateful night, Emma woke up with a strange itch once again. The urge became so intense that she could no longer control it. It was late, and the only man nearby was her father. With tears streaming down her face, Emma quietly slipped into John's room, begging him to sleep with her. John was dumbfounded. The rumors were true after all. "You foul spirit, in the name above every other name, I command you to come out of her." John began to pray fervently. Mary, awakened by the commotion, joined them, and they prayed together until daybreak. By morning, John called upon some trusted church members to continue the prayers. They prayed relentlessly until the evil spirit, sent by Lucy's father, finally left Emma's body. She was delivered, to the glory of God. Months later, Emma was admitted to the university in the big city, leaving behind the small village and all the awful experiences. During her final year, she met a young man named Chucks. They fell in love, and he soon asked for her hand in marriage. After graduation, Emma and Chucks got married, and she moved to the big city to live with her husband. However, they frequently visited the village to see her parents. On one of their visits, Emma saw a mad young woman begging for alms on the road. When she stopped to offer her help, she instantly recognized who it was. Lucy. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel for more enchanting folk tales every week. Don't forget to like, comment, and share with fellow story lovers. Until next time, may your days be filled with wonder and your nights with dreams of love.